Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. It's your host Punam here with a very special guest, Gayathri Narayanan. And this is the first episode of the new year. Let me first wish everyone a happy, healthy, and a prosperous New Year 2024. I'm sure you all want to be mindful, beautiful, and thrive in this new year. If you want to start doing meditations in this new year, we are ready to share great insights and help you on your journey with a very special guest. The good news is meditation has no side effects. So make meditation a part of your life in 2024. Welcome, Gayathri. Before I ask you more questions, please introduce yourself and tell us what are you doing currently.
Hi, Punam. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for inviting me, and wish you a very happy new year, and wish all the listeners a very, very happy new year. Uh, and all good wishes for 2024 to all of you. Yeah, so over the past 8 years now, I've been teaching mindfulness and meditation here in the Bay Area, but also online. And there are people from other parts of the country and the world who join my classes as well. So I've been teaching meditation to teenagers and adults and in a couple of different senior centers, and also teaching my mindful parenting classes to bring these practices into our relationships, into our families. So I've been teaching some retreats. And so I'm a certified mindfulness meditation teacher. I graduated from this program that was taught by Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock. It's called the Mindfulness Meditation Teacher Certification Program. So it was a 2-year program that I graduated from. And before that, I was certified as a parent educator from Echo Parenting in Los Angeles. So that was a year-long program. So that's been my work for the past few years, sharing these teachings and practices. And it's been such a joy for me to do this work. I transitioned into this work from a technology background. So my career before that was in healthcare technology. So for about the last 9 years or so, 10 years, I've been doing this work. So
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. So my first question to you is, what inspired you to start your meditation journey?
that is a very interesting question. So I met my guru, my spiritual teacher, when I was about 10 or 11 years old in India. And so he was a great inspiration to me. And initially, I related to him as a grandpa. I was a little kid running around, but he would tell me stories and talk to me. And whenever he visited our Bangalore, he would come and visit our house. And so I had these brief interactions with him growing up. And then in my early 20s, actually, I would say even in my late teens, it was very clear to me that what a lot of the adults were telling me about, oh, that this is the way to find your happiness is you go to school and get a degree and work and earn money, and this is going to give you happiness, and material success is going to give you happiness. It was very clear to me very early on that that was not true, that there was something else that was deeper and more, that would be the fountain of more well-being. I had that inclination, and I doubted that material success is going to give me what I wanted. It was pretty clear pretty early on, but I didn't know what what that was. And I think it was only in my early 20s when I went and stayed in the Gurukula where my guru was teaching that I could see what he was really about. And I said, he knows the secret. I want that. I want what he has. And so I started getting really curious and interested in some of those teachings and practices. So I started doing more yoga, and in the yoga classes, of course, they had some meditation. And then I started deepening my own meditation practice and trying out different ways to bring that into my life. And it was much later that I actually was formally introduced to mindfulness. I went for a retreat to Spirit Rock Meditation Center here in the Bay Area. And then I could see how mindfulness could really be supportive. And then I started a regular mindfulness meditation practice. So it went through that and other spiritual practices. And then I landed upon mindfulness. And even to this day, I experiment with different techniques of meditation, but it has been a pretty constant part of my life for the past, I would say, 20 years or 25 years, I would say. Yeah.
That's amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your childhood stories also. So you mentioned you're currently experimenting and doing mainly mindfulness. So would you like to educate us? So what is mindfulness?
Well, in mindfulness, it has a very simple definition, but it's very deceptively simple because mindfulness is basically being aware of what is happening in the moment and to hold it in a non-judgmental, accepting awareness, basically. So to be aware of what's happening and to be accepting and non-judgmental of what's happening. Right. So that's like a rough definition. It's not a formal definition. There are more formal definitions of what mindfulness is. For example, John Kabat-Zinn's definition is mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, which is on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Right. So it's something that is intentional. It's on purpose. Because naturally our mind is always toggling back and forth between the past and the future. So there's this intentionality to say, oh, I want to be right here. I want to be present. And so it's happening in the present moment. You're aware, you're paying attention in the present moment, and you're doing so without any judgment. And there's another beautiful acronym that Dan Siegel offers, which is COAL, COAL, is to pay attention, to be aware, and to bring curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love to the present moment. So to be curious about what's happening in the moment, to be open to what's happening in the moment, to accept what's happening in the moment, and to be loving and to be compassionate, to have a heart of openness and compassion, and to meet whatever is here with awareness and with compassion. So that is what the definition of mindfulness is, and it sounds very simple, but it's not easy. So it really takes a lot of practice to be able to do that effectively and more often, right? To be able to be present more often, it takes practice. You have to cultivate those muscles of mindfulness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you again for sharing your insights. Even I am a mindfulness practitioner myself, and as you said, easier said than done, but I'm giving hope to our audience. If I can do it, they can do it. So what benefits did you experience after starting your journey?
Oh my, I mean, it's such a long list. It's hard to, there's just too many. And this is just a few that I can name off the top of my head. Definitely less anxious and reactive. I remember a time when things could set me off like in a flash of a second, right? And always worried and anxious about things and what's going to happen and nervous and restless. All of that has calmed down a lot. So basically, I don't feel anxious anymore. I feel much more confident in myself, in my body. I'm more joyful. I express my joy more readily. I smile more readily. I'm much more loving and accepting of more kinds of people. Before I had my people I liked and people I didn't care for, right? But now that circle of people that I can be with has grown. I can be with a lot more different kinds of people, more loving and accepting of people. I'm able to let go of things much easier. Before, things used to be very sticky and they would stick, and I would think of them and replay them and rehash them and talk about it and remember it. And now they just fall away much more easily. I don't really hold on to things that much. I sleep much better. I think I have very few people that I have hard feelings towards. I just feel more, I don't know, I don't hold a lot of anger or resentment towards people. I'm able to stay more present for sure. And even when things get difficult, I'm able to be aware of what's happening in the moment. And not always, but much more often than I used to be able to before. And things that would otherwise have thrown me into a loop are much more manageable. But one of the biggest, I think the deeper benefits that I've experienced is a sense of harmony that I experience between my inner and my outer life. Like I feel much more aligned with who I am, and my actions and my words and my external life and my internal life are all much more coordinated and harmonized. Before, it used to feel like I was trying to be something I wasn't, or like trying to be like I was like walking around in tight clothes or tight shoes. Like now I feel much more at ease in my body, in my mind. And I've also developed a much greater trust in life itself. Like I don't know how to describe that, but I've definitely developed a greater trust in this mystery that we're in this life that we're in, which is really a mystery. If you really contemplate our human incarnation, I mean, it's a pretty mysterious thing, but I've learned to trust it much more. I'm not so afraid anymore. So I think so. Those are some of the benefits I've experienced over the course of these past many years. Yeah.
Wonderful, Gayatri, and I can relate with you. I experienced myself those benefits, what you mentioned, that acceptance, loving, right? That's what mindfulness is teaching us. Let go of past and do not worry for future. Be in the moment, and you are here to add value. So that's so amazing. But I wanted to ask you, how long did it take for you to reap these benefits?
Oh my. I mean, I've been practicing for about 20 to 20, I don't know, 20, almost 25 years now, I would say. So it's not something that you can even see on a day-to-day basis sometimes. It's something when you look back in the rearview mirror, you say, oh, wow, this used to happen and it doesn't happen anymore. Like I used to get really angry about this, or this used to really annoy me before, and I used to be much more reactive to this. And oh, now this doesn't bother me anymore. It's a very sort of slow drip, drip, drip an effect that meditation starts to have. But there are some benefits that you can see almost very, very, very quickly. Like even within a couple of months of practice, you'll start to notice, like, for example, things like anxiety, depression. Like you can start to see how some of those things start to clear away, and you start to see the sky behind the clouds. It's like a veil lifting up, and you start to feel more easy. So some of the benefits you start to see quickly, and some are slow. But for sure, there is a greater degree of freedom, greater degree of ease, more joy, definitely more compassion, more love. You're able to experience the goodness of life much more easily with this practice. But it's not something and it's not even linear. Like I would not say that it's like, oh, it just gets better and better and better. It's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 5 steps forward, 2 steps back. It just keeps. It's not a linear thing. It's like, and there are times when things can go in the opposite direction, where you feel like nothing's happening. Sometimes it feels like you've plateaued, that there's no change. Sometimes you feel more depressed, and then before you start to feel better. So it's a path that is very unique for everybody, for each person. But one thing I can say is you can absolutely trust the practice. The practice itself has a way of working with each psyche, with each body, with each individual, and you can trust it. Once you're on the path, let go. You can absolutely trust that it will take you to the right place. So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah. So what I understood from you, Gayatri, practice, practice, practice. Yes, at times you may feel like giving up, hey, nothing is happening. But there is a trust piece you talked about. Keep doing, keep doing. And one day you will realize, like, wow, I did not know when that has changed or the mask has been uplifted and more joy is flowing in my life. Right? Wonderful.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. What is your advice to those who are starting this journey? How long should they sit when they're starting this journey?
So what I would say is listen to your own body and mind and your own needs, right? But even if you start for like maybe a 5-minute practice a day or a 10-minute practice a day, that's a good place to start. So the duration is not as important as the consistency. Like, so I would say it's better to do 5 minutes a day than do 30 minutes twice a week. But I mean, it's better to sit for short periods of time, but keep it consistent because it's like your body and mind have to learn this new language, this new way of being, and adjust to a particular routine, a habit. And once you cultivate the habit, then it becomes like, for me, it's like if I don't meditate, it feels like I haven't brushed my teeth because it feels like something's off. Like it becomes such a part of your day that and then it becomes very easy to sustain. But initially, as you're cultivating the practice, even a little bit every day can be very, very helpful. And you can do guided meditations. There's so many different options online, or you can just sit silently, just watch your breath and sit quietly with your mind, observe what's happening. And so there's so many ways in which you can do this, but I definitely say consistency is what's important in cultivating a practice. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. So consistency is important. Patience also very important. And if you are not able to do one day, don't beat yourself up. But
Absolutely.
What I heard, if you do want to cultivate a new habit, if you do it for 21 days, it becomes part of you. Right? As you were mentioning, if you now like brush, you don't need to think. It's part of your daily routine. So similarly, if you start doing meditation every day, it becomes part of you. And if you don't do it, you miss like, oh, why am I not able to do it? Right? Because you feel so many benefits out of it. Okay.
Yes.
The other question I wanted to ask you, actually, so what's the better time? Like, is there any time of the day which is better for meditation?
I joke, so I use this acronym RPM. It's like rise, pee, meditate. Go to the bathroom. You get up in the morning, you just wash your face, go to the bathroom, and try to sit right away if that's possible. That's the best time because that's before you start reading the news and before you have your coffee and before you start talking to people and before the household wakes up. If you can squeeze it in before all that happens for about 10 to 15 minutes, if you can just sit down, that's a really good time. But having said that, even if you can't do it in the morning, you can find a few moments during the lunch hour at work or the afternoon in between meetings or the evening before going to bed. Those are all good times to practice. So try to find a time that is suitable for you. But what I would say is try to find a time when your body is alert. Right. So, for example, like if you meditate right after lunch, it's probably not such a great idea. You're going to feel sleepy. You have to observe your own rhythm of your body, your circadian rhythm, and adjust accordingly and find a good time for your practice. But mornings are best if that's possible. I would say mornings are definitely the best.
Yeah. So what I do, Gayatri, I agree. Like mornings are the best. Morning, my mind is fresh. And I do believe garbage in, garbage out. And if I'm setting up the foundation of my day with positivity, with calmness, with peace, most likely I will have a calm and peaceful day. And what I do, in addition to the morning meditation, I do take a 1 minute break after every hour to take 3 deep breaths reset, all the negativity or tiredness in the body, or just to acknowledge my own feelings. And before going to the bed, also, I try to do meditation, or I try to write that gratitude journal, so that I'm ending
Beautiful.
my day with positive information. But as you said, everybody's journey is different. Everybody needs to find what works for them. But we all agree, even science has proven, right, when your mind is fresh, and as you were saying, your body is alert, that's the best time to do a little bit of meditation.
Right.
Okay,
And I wanted to mention one more thing, Punam, here. Is so to find a particular block of time to sit quietly, and that's what we call a formal meditation practice, right? A formal mindfulness practice. But there's also the informal practice, which is, like you were saying, is to take a pause in the middle of whatever you're doing and to just become present in the body, take a couple of deep breaths, be aware of what's going on in your mind, be aware of the feelings that you're experiencing, be aware of your surroundings, listen to the sounds around you, and just sort of dip into the present moment, even for a few seconds at a time. And you can do that throughout the day, whenever you remember, and make that a practice as well. So that is also a very, very important part of the practice, the informal practice. So if you combine both the formal and the informal practice, then you can really integrate it into your life. Yes, this practice, the mindfulness practice. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for emphasizing that. And we talked about little bit about sleepiness, but what other challenges anybody could face when they are embarking on this journey?
Yeah. So, and of course, it varies from person to person. But so typically, like the body, because you're not used to sitting, to being alert and relaxed at the same time. It's a say to be alert and relaxed. That's what we want in meditation. That's very difficult for a lot of people because either you're alert and running around or you're relaxed and you're sleeping. So it's very easy for many people to just fall asleep during meditation because the body is not used to that balance between being alert and relaxed. So that's a pretty common challenge. But another one that I find people get discouraged. They say, "Oh, whenever I meditate, my mind is racing during meditation. I can't get my mind to be still, and my mind is racing." And I often tell them, I was like, it's not that your mind is racing because you're meditating. It's because that you're aware that your mind is racing when you're meditating, because you're suddenly noticing that, oh my God, look what's happening. Your mind is going from this to that, and it's bouncing around, and it's going in loops. So you start to notice the movements of mind, and that is totally fine. In fact, it's a good thing. You're starting to become aware. You're starting to notice the pace of the mind, the mood of the mind, the contents of the mind. That's all part of the journey. So don't get discouraged, even if you're saying, oh, my mind is going crazy. The idea is not to make your mind stop or to have no thoughts. That's one of the great myths about meditation. People think, oh, I've got to be really quiet and the mind has to be absolutely still. That's not true. What it's really about is to be aware of what the mind is doing. That's the practice, right? So that's another common complaint I get from people. And of course, things like the restlessness in the body, right? Because sometimes when people, because of anxiety or nervousness, and it's hard for the body to be still. So that's also a common hurdle that comes along the way. But over time, the body will start to settle. It'll start to quiet down. So don't give up on those first that show up during meditation. Just keep at it, trust it, do a little bit every day, and these things start to resolve themselves over time.
Thank you so much, Gayathri, for sharing your journey, the benefits you read, and a little bit about your practice. We have so much to learn from you, and I know we are running out of
thank
time.
You.
Yeah, so we will definitely do another episode of recording because you are a parent yourself, and I know you have reaped so many benefits while mindfully parenting your two beautiful children. So I would request my audience to stay tuned because we are going to bring Gayathri again and we'll talk about the benefits of mindful parenting. And another third episode would be about how they can practice mindfulness and gain benefits in their journey. So thank you so much, Gayathri, for joining us today and sharing your
Thank you, Punam.
insights. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. And if people are interested in my work and in my offerings, they can go to my website. It's Mindtree.org. It's MYNDTREE.org. I offer morning community meditations on Zoom Monday through Friday from 8 to 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. It's a very open group. Anybody's welcome. You can drop in. I make the recordings available. It's a beautiful community of people, and I think practicing together in community is a very good way to sustain and cultivate a meditation practice. So, yeah, so all are welcome. Thank you so much, Punam. Thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for this conversation. I really enjoyed it.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hoped you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.